Hello everybody, we're going to do the video a little bit earlier this year because when you get to see it, some of the varieties are gone. I'm in full flush at the moment. It's the day after the first day of the National. This is the Wednesday. We were both at the National, the same as what a lot of you were, and he's decided to grace my plot about a week early. Nice. Last year, and most years, it's a week. It's after the Surrey show, like 4 days after the Surrey show, and I'm getting a bit thin. But the whole plot is a blaze of colour, and you'll see it as we go through later. But these are the new varieties. There's 90 plants here. There's 3 beds. There's many varieties that many raisers that support me, and I'm pleased for that, and I'll thank them for that, because you can't have a trial unless people send you plants. And they sent me their plants again this year. So we're going to have a wander through now. Got 3 beds, about 30 in a bed. Normal planting distances, a bit tight on the pathway, so we need a machete to get through those. But I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. This is pretty much the Les Stothard bed, because all but 2 varieties in it are his raisings. Nearly all of them are this year's raisins. I think I've got 10 new varieties from him, and most of them are pretty good. He's a good raiser. That's Les Stothard from Lincolnshire. So we're going to start with his. This is Blighton Janus. It's a miniature deck. It looks a bit like the one behind me, which is one of his also. And it's a full-size miniature deck. I don't know what I've got on the plant. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's a big one. So you want 10 to 12 on it, but it goes back right back on the stem. Lovely colour. I've shown it once, but I've only got a few plants, so I can only show 1 or 2 blooms in a multi-bloom vase, really. So that's Blighton Janus. I've got 1 plant there and 2 dotted around the plot, so that's one of his. And this is Miller. I didn't really look at it. Golden Miller, after a racehorse, won the Grand National many years ago. And miniature deck, right back on the stem, as you can see. Good round form, good centre, and it's only just started blooming. These are the first blooms, some to come. And I've got 2 plants of that. And this is the other plant of it. They will be bigger. That will be bordering on being oversized.
That looks a much taller plant than the
other
one.
Yeah, that's what the one I've marked it to keep it, and I won't keep that one because in a lot of occasions I have to do that. And one is a super plant, so you could nearly cut a 3 here, couldn't you? You've got one there dropping its back a bit. You've got one drop. There might be a problem that it drops its back, doesn't it? You look. That's a bloom you want to take to the flower show, and that the same. But they're both. See, it's hanging its back again. So you know they're the things. And sometimes I fall in love with these dahlias, and I grow a bed, and I think, Christ Almighty, what are you doing? And that's got a nice centre in it, and it is dropping its back. So I'd be a bit canny with it. I'd grow it again, but not in numbers. If I've got a fault, it's falling in love with them, and I grow a great bed of them and never show a bloom. This is probably the best of Les's that I've got. I think it's really nice. It's what is it called? Adore, Blighton Adore, isn't it? Isn't that lovely? But its fault, and they've all got a fault, is it bleaches in the back. You need a cover, your covers, your shade net would do the trick. But that bloom is showable and no fading, and that bloom is showable and no fading. But we have had some hot sun, and when the hot sun gets at blooms like that, you know, it just bleaches them at the back. So
and you've got a sport.
And I've got a sport with it. I always have a sport of Les's. He has more sports than anyone else. Then it's a typical sport that you won't keep unless you take cuttings off the stem, as I've said before. But no, I don't. People fall in love with them and that, and they're just a freak of nature. They just sport a different colour, a bi-colour normally like that. And I've had it on Dave. I've had it on which one's
Aurora's Kiss, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the original one. But I've had it on a few of Les's. Blighton Amanda I had it on, Blighton Red Ace I've had it on, and now this one. So they do tend to throw sports like that, but I wouldn't ever get excited about it. They're looking good in one of Carmen's bunches, but to keep it is difficult, and it will revert back. So you might take cuttings off the stem and keep the one, but it will, unless you continue to do that, it will revert back to the parent. But I've got 3 plants of this, or 4 plants of this, and they've been good. Haven't it? All good. And you would show it. But bleaching at the back would be a fault for someone like me that doesn't cover anymore. I don't cover any dahlias, it's just got too much for me and Carmen. But for someone like Dave, I think if you're going to a miniature deck championship, it will be a contender. Not all of Les's will make it. This is Moonbreaker, 1 plant of Moonbreaker, but some of them do have centre problems, and Moonbreaker has got a centre problem, and that won't be one I'll be growing. That I will dump that, and that's the other plant, and this is on Jess now, so that's Moonbreaker, which would have been a miniature ball, I suppose, miniature stroke small ball, wouldn't it? And but no, I wouldn't touch that again.
Bit like Bella.
Yeah, this has been good. I've had some good small ball off this, and I might grow it certainly again. See that, it's a small ball. Quite pleasant, isn't it? So you've got 2 blooms there, and I wouldn't keep that plant. I think I've already marked that, not yet. But it's a bit lower. I haven't had a good bloom off it. This one, every bloom has been good. They've blown their centres now, older blooms. But these 2 are just about showable, aren't they? Look at that. Or the other one, a little bit younger. And goes right back on the stem. You'd probably grow it, how many have I got it? 2, 4, 6, 7, probably it's a 6 up, wouldn't it, to get it as a good strong. And this one, I've grown a lot more on it, but it's the same size bloom, isn't it? So, you know,
that'd be big enough as a small ball though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be, yeah. But the other one's a little bit smaller. Yeah. It wouldn't go to a miniature ring, I don't think, though. This is ermine, which I've grown before. You have to grow a lot on it to get it as a miniature. I've grown it probably 15, 16, 18 up. But it's a lovely, refined, white miniature ball. I haven't closed its centre yet, but that's how it can be. Look, it goes right back. It's a white miniature ball from Les Stothard, and it's called Blighton ermine, that one. And I haven't disputed this one, I'm a naughty boy. So
been slacking.
Yeah. I try and keep on the jobs as much as you can, but I spend more time down the hospital than I do in the plot. No, I don't. Not really. I have to go occasionally. Right. No, we're not going to get carried away with that. He turned up out of the blue, so I couldn't get the plot quite as tidy as you'd like to see it. These are normally gone. I don't have dead blooms if I can help it. What I've found with this ermine though, where it's been clean as a whistle in the past, every one has got dodgy foliage on it. If you look closely at it, I don't know what it is, a virus or what it is, but
there's a bit of this been going on with particularly Mary's Jander and Jamanders for people, and I think someone's getting a test done on it.
Oh right.
We feel it's some sort of blight or something like that.
Les has got the same, he told me.
Yeah.
But this one is a bit better. Most of the ones are pretty clean. But it's something that's come in. I haven't seen it on the plants before, but I've got 1, 2, 3 plants of ermine, and they've all got a certain amount of this sort of
spotty leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one that won't make it. First time I've grown it, some lady in it. There it is. This is called Blighton Love. Blighton Love. But every centre has been wafty. You know, they're not all diamonds. If you get a couple of diamonds from a razor, you're doing well. But it's got a centre problem. It blows before the bloom is. But look at that form. You know, if you could get a centre in it, magic, isn't it? Yeah. Really. We've got one on the other side that's a good small deck, which we'll have a look in a minute. And we're going to move. Still on the row of Blightons. We've got 2 varieties that are not Blightons, and they're 2 good varieties. I grew this one last year. It's called Ashton Honeycomb, and it's raised by Graham Johnson. and there's one Twiella up the way there, which you'll see. But it's been very good. I had a cracking bloom the other day that was, you know, it's a tight ball form, isn't it? Miniature ball form, and it's quite interesting, that. And there's another of the Janice. Janice has been good, a Blighton Janice. There's a better bloom, of a sizable bloom, isn't it? And I've got quite a few on these plants of the honeycomb, Ashjohn honeycomb, and I suppose I've got on this plant 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably 12 on this plant. Probably it wants growing about 10, I'd say. You'd want it a bit bigger than that, wouldn't you, on the bench? And this is back to Les Stothard, and this is Eve, Blighton Eve, and he likes it as one of his favourites, but for me, as a non-coverer, you'd have to watch the bleaching at the back, wouldn't you? But it's got cracking form for a miniature ball. It's tight. There's another plant down there.
Nice at the back. It's not bunched, is it?
No.
That's an old bloom, but it's not bunching up.
It goes back right on the stem, doesn't it? 2/3 depth. Centre's gone on that one, but yeah, I like it, but I don't know if I'd grow it. This is Twiella. So we're going back to the Ashjohns, the other Ashjohn varieties, and it can be really nice. See how tight. He had a bit of a centre problem last year, and he sent me fresh stock, and it's worked because they are nice. And look at the better blooms on here. Look at that.
Yeah.
You know.
It's obviously
What
some
a colour!
Twilight Boy.
What a colour, isn't it? What
Twilight Boy parent somewhere in there.
Yeah, you would think so. It's that sort of colour. But that's Ashjohn Twiella. Again, a miniature deck. You want 1 or 2 more on it than that. And I've got a bit on this one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you look at a dozen month. That'd fight the ring, wouldn't it? You would think. That's Blighton Twiella. This is another one of the Blighton Eves. I've had a dot means I've got the plants big enough to plant them. So again, one that I haven't had a good centre on yet is this one, which is, where's the table? That's Full Moon. I've got one plant, I think, if that's Full Moon. It's cracking. But this is Full Moon. This is Full Moon. 2 plants, and they've got dodgy centres on both of them. And then you get to this plant, which is bigger and stronger, and his nibs here would have his eye on that. It's a good small deck, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Very nice. Right back, you know, and I've got a bit on it. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on it. 12. But look at that bloom. What a bloom, isn't it? I only saw it this morning when I was having a mooch, and I thought, Christ, that's good. And I'd written off the variety in my mind, but obviously,
it's a stock thing.
Yeah, I've got to put me twist tie on that, because if you're going to propagate, you wouldn't want to propagate from them two, would you?
No.
But you propagate from this and go, oh, I won't make...
And the height shows it as well, doesn't it?
Yes,
These are shorter, the flowering height tends to be a denominator.
I'm not going to do what I tend to do, is fall in love with them, grow a bed of them, and then they end up all rubbish.
I think you should put 3 beds in.
Yeah, well, who's to say you shouldn't? You know, it's all... But in the main, a lot of them are not as good as what's already out there with the seedlings. You hope they are, and that bloom would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, judging it on this plant, and with this number, you'd expect them to be smaller. So you're looking about a 9 or 10 up, aren't you? You wouldn't want to go much less. You'd be frightened. And that's an Eve. That's a better Eve, Blighton Eve, miniature ball. But with the fading in it, someone that doesn't cover, you know, you'd be worried. This is another Janice. I've got 3 Janice dotted about. They're all good. They're all good plants with good blooms, and people will grow that if it comes out on the market. Did I see anything on this to excite me? I think I probably did. This is Amanda, Blighton Amanda. Yeah.
But centres aren't great, are they?
I can't see, I'm not as tall as you. Can you lift me up? I've got 3 plants of it. And I can see this one. These are them bloody little flies in here. They're capsids, aren't they? The ones that make the brown in the hole. And there's one in there, it's gone back in there. But, you know, you wouldn't write it off. I don't know. I like it. like that, but you're going to get that, and it's going to be sizable.
Yeah.
It's called Blighton Amanda, and I said to Les, I said, Blighton Amanda, I said, I've had 3 of them from you, and they're all different. He said, I'm waiting until I get a cracker because it's my daughter's name. So we're going to have Amandas for a lifetime.
Until one settles down.
And as he said to me, as long as they don't come out on the market,
it don't matter.
That don't matter. People think they're getting one Amanda and they get another, and I get an Amanda every year. But he will get out one he really does. Look at the size of that.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 plants of that. That's another one of the Love, Blighton Love, which is a write-off as far as I'm concerned. But that's usable, you know, that is usable, but might frustrate you. I wouldn't grow a bed of it. I'll grow it again to have a look at it second year. I had this for the first time from Tom Cleghorn in Scotland. It's called Ginger, and it was spectacular last year. I only had 2 or 3 plants, and I thought, that's lovely, that's wonderful. Showed a bloom at Essex in a winning exhibit, and I thought I'd grow a bed of that, and as usual it bites me in the arse. And you'll see the bed later, and they're like these. They're a bit whippy on the stem, they're not big enough for the section, which is a miniature deck. Beautiful colour, but unfortunately this year it was a miss. And that was Ginger, one of Tom's. And we're going on now to Seville, and I know David Hall quite likes this one. I've only got, what, 3 plants, and it's a small deck. That's the best bloom I've got out, but it will come a bit bigger. I've got a lot on the plants, and apparently it is going to go on his list, or he's thinking about putting it on his list. It can be very, very good. That's a nice bloom, a bit smaller, but I like it. And that is called Seville, no prefix, just Seville, and it's from Tom Cleghorn in Scotland. This is another one that David Hall is interested in. It won't be on the show bench very often, but it's called Jigger. It's from Tom Cleghorn again. It's Jigger, and it is the most stunning variety for cut flower and garden decoration that I've ever seen. And I showed Carmen a picture of it. She said, I'll have that. I said, I've only got the 1 tuber. She said, I'll have what you can spare. So she's got 11 and I've got 3. Or 4. But I don't suppose people will show it, but certainly as a garden, and I went to Essex and I had 3, and I thought, I'll take them, and I won the garden decoration, dahlia for cut flower or garden decoration, and it doesn't half flower. It's got a stem like iron, you know, you could put it anywhere. You don't need to cane it if you took it to it. They're lovely for in a bucket, where Carmen sell them in a bucket. Because they never break. And look at the bloom I've got of 3 plants. So it's one she'll have for a few years. Some people, like there's a lady called May, and she goes to a lot of the shows around here, and she said no, it's too bold and brash, and she fell in love with one called Auntie Babs from the same razor, which you'll see later. But some people like a blazing one like that, and a lady later come along. She said, "Oh, I want to buy some flowers." She said, "I like your Jigger." I said, "Yeah, £5 each, they are." And she said, "Really?" I said, "No, not really." I said, "Give a donation to the society." And she fell in love with Auntie Babs, more pastel, gentle colours. But this lady, the one I'm talking about, loved the big and bold, and she had all the Jigger that I had there. I don't know what she gave in a donation, but good luck. And this is a variety, these 2 plants. The other one in the middle died. It's gradually faded away and went rotten in the stem. And it's called Regal Dancer, and you won't believe it, but they're both Regal Dancer. And Regal Dancer is meant to be like that. It's from Tom Cleghorn again, and it's lovely, isn't it? Isn't it lovely? Don't you like that? You should have it for your Terry Clark. It'd do well, I think. Judges don't worry about matching colours, they just like a bit of brightness.
50 plants, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon so. But this one is the same variety, and you can see it trying to do it. Yeah. But that must be a sport of that, because that's what Tom sent. Yeah, that's what he raised. But this one has got the same sort of bloom on it once or twice, and even this one had a solid red one. So it's a little bit unstable. I said to Tom last night, when I told him that he's won the seedling class at the National, which we'll tell you about in a minute. But they are a bit unstable, but very, very attractive. People that like that, and it's distinct from Jigger. You know, that's more of a dark red with white tips. This is a
sort of Karen Glen red, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And this was the one I wasn't going to. I made an entry for Tom Cleghorn in the seedling class, the Ernest Luckhurst Trophy, and I was going to put 3 of the Auntie Babs in it. And I was taking buckets down of my miniatures, my Stella and my Christabel, and I looked, there was a bloom right at the end of this variety. I thought, cool, that's a nice bloom. So I come back, get the next bucket, and I looked down, and I've got 3 plants of it, and there was 2 more. You know, bigger than this. So the ones I took were full size, a small deck class size. And I cut the other 2 off later, and made up a 3. I thought, well, that ain't bad. So I put it in the urn, and I'd made an entry just in case he had something. I thought he'd have Auntie Babs, and we won it. We won the Ernest Luckhurst Trophy, and after the best smaller miniature deck, which it won with the Luckhurst, it goes on to the Descott. For the best seedling in show, and the bloody thing won the Descott as well. So I phoned him up last night and told him this story, probably bored him to death, like I'm doing to you now. But it is a lovely small deck, and where David Hall likes Seville, I think this is a much intense colour than Seville.
Yeah.
And he might like this one as well, I think.
It's got a nice reverse as well to the petal on it.
Yeah, it was lovely. Like I tell you, the variety I used to grow that did that was Linnet, Cherwell Linnet.
Yeah.
So yes, that was a nice surprise for me and for him, and he was really, really excited, and I was excited for him. It's not continuing on after we've had our liquid lunch and a beer and a nice salad from Carmen, and we're going to carry on with the new varieties now. Thanks. I've got a good bloom of this to show. Are you still filming? There's a good bloom here, Dave, or nearly a good bloom. It's just going past its best. But this is Spennythorn Maple. Anyone who watches these videos regularly will remember this one. 2 years ago, it was out of this world. This is going to be a good bloom. It's called Spennythorn Maple, raised by Eric Booth. And my stock was like a different variety last year. It was terrible. It was a little deck, wasn't it? Awful. Yeah. But I got fresh stock in from Eric, and it's back to what it was. And they're going to be 2 good blooms in a few days' time. But the first bloom was lovely, and I grew this plant 3 up to try and grow it as a giant, and it was a good 11.5, 12 inch. So it can go giant. It is a giant. It's not a large. It's a giant. And this plant I think I had 6 on it. 5 or 6 on it, but a really good variety. Spennythorn Maple from Eric Booth and Stockton-on-Tees, and this is one of Eric's again, and this is Alison. This is another brilliant one. 3 years ago I had Alison, medium deck, pink from Eric, and it was wonderful. Last year it was rubbish, and this year it's gone, you know, it hasn't cleared up, so it get full marks on one and 0 marks on the other one. So Alison, whether he's got clean stock of Alison, but I'd give it another go because it's a really good medium beck. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's
3 years ago. This is his little row now. I'm trying to remember the names. And this one is Sonia. Put the glasses on. This is Sonia, Spennythorn Sonia. You're the classification man. What are we going to classify that?
Deck.
Deck. He says a deck. Between a medium and a large deck, I'd say that would be a full-size medium, wouldn't it? Probably over a medium.
It's a bit like the same petal as Greta. It's a little quill at the end. A bit too heavy for a deck, I would say, for a medium. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 7. 7 on there. Is it 7 or 8? 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. Yeah, 7 on there. And it's one of them forms that's got nowhere to go, isn't it, really? Yeah. You know, if you showed it as a deck, it's a little bit loose, lovely colour, stems like iron,
Lovely grower, you like to grow that, and spectacular. But I don't know where you'd win with it. Where would you win with it?
Yeah, not in the mediums.
No.
Maybe a large deck.
Maybe a large deck, 3 up. I don't know if it'd go much bigger, I haven't tried. So that's that one. This is one of the few varieties I haven't had out yet. It's called Heidi, and it's one of Eric's, so that'll be in a week's time. I've got one strong plant, and one weaker plant, and one stronger plant of Georgia. How'd you say it? Georgia. He lives there. This was good on the first bloom. That was the first bloom, and this was very good, and I loved it. And this one is Spennythorn. Be on the other label, wouldn't it? It's on the other label. Georgia. That's it. That's Georgia. What was that one I said then? That was Heidi. That's Georgia, and that's Georgia. That's a weaker plant, never looked good. And this is a really nice, strong plant and a good bloom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Depth, good colour, good centre. So I will grow that again. And it was nice. And I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that. This one is just coming out. This is Shelby, Spennythorn Shelby. I don't know what it'll be really. It's a medium semi, I think. But we shall see. It's just coming out. But the star of the show, one of the best dahlias on the plot, and my man spotted it from down on the path down there. He said, "What's that orange one?" I said, "It's one of Eric's." I said, "It's Gigi, G-I." And that was the early bloom. They were bigger than that. I caned them because they were good. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. Probably grow it 6 up to get it a bit bigger next year. But look at them 2 blooms, Dave. What's wrong with them?
No, it's lovely.
Are they lovely?
Lovely in the face.
It is. And depth. It's got the depth. It's not swirling. Good centre. Yeah, I like that. I'll grow that. I might grow a bed of that. Whenever I do that, it comes back and bites me in the arse. That's the trouble. But if you could get it like that, if I could get a bed like that, I'd love it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, that is #1 star, I would say, of all what's here. One of the stars. There's 3 or 4 that stand out, and that's one of them. Gigi. This was one my man gave me. He can have it back. No, and it's called Sonia Gold. Sandia Gold. And it's water lily. I've got just 3 plants. I've got 2, one here, and another one over there. So I've got 2 plants. And it's prolific, you know. I never really, when he told me about it, whether I like that cup shape of a water lily myself. I like them on a flat plane. But loads of blooms on it. I haven't really grown it for show. There's probably too many blooms. There's probably nearly 20 blooms on here, 18, 20 blooms. If you want it a bit bigger, it's whether you like that form for showing as a water lily. Very prolific, quite nice, but I wouldn't grow it again. A little experiment here. I like to compare dahlias, and I've had Arthur's Memory, which is a purple pom, as you can see, from my late friend Arthur Dashwood before he died, and I wanted to compare it to Moore Place. So another friend of mine, Andrew Aspinall, he sent me 2 plants of his stock of Moore Place, and so far I've got one bloom on it, and comparing them, I would say it's slightly darker, wouldn't you, the Moore Place from the and it's hard to tell, but these single blooms, I mean, they're darker still, aren't they? So you've got 2 plants that have got all daisy-eyed plants by 1 bloom, and you've got the 2 Arthur's Memory, which are lovely plants. Look at the bloom on that plant, isn't it? Are they good?
Give that to Andrew and he can grow it as Moore Place.
Yeah, well, he's got both, and he showed it yesterday in his 9 bloom winning exhibit at the National, 9 vase winning exhibit, and they looked alright. But he sent me 2 daisy-eyed plants. How's that right? So that's that. Right, a couple more giants. I grew this last year and I had a really good bloom of this earlier. we've just cut it off, it just went. It's called Cor Bob from America, and that was a real giant bloom that I had, the first bloom. But it's a giant deck. It's unusual because it's in 2 tones, they're normally single tone. But it was a really cracking bloom, and these are not bad, are they? You know, look at the depth on it, and it matches quite well. And it's a giant decorative, 3 up, and it's called Cor Bob. This is called Cheryl Hannah J. Unfortunately, you're not going to see a good bloom of it because I'm between them. But I've grown it before and I like it. Tony Kingdom again. It's a giant deck in a mixture of yellow and salmon, and but it hasn't come on the market yet. It's been around a while. This was a bit of a disappointment. You'll recognise this variety. It's not a new variety. It's called Valentine, Conora Valentine, raised by my friend Gordon Gordon LaRue in America. He's a Canadian, but he moved to Seattle area, and that's Valentine. And John Wallace from up in Scotland had a bronze sport of it. This is the bronze sport of Valentine. Unfortunately, it's not as strong. The plants were never as strong, and it's a smaller version of Valentine. You know, if I show you the two, you can see a likeness of it, but I can't see this ever being, on this stock anyway, being bigger than a large. Can you? No. It's not outstanding.
Not as full, is it?
Well, it is a spot. He's told me.
No, it's not as full of bloom.
No, not a full of bloom. And I've got 2 plants of that, and I planted 2 plants of the Valentine alongside. And I always grew Valentine well. I don't grow giants anymore. We've both grown it well, haven't we, in our time? And that's Conora Valentine from LaRue. These are 3 giants coming up now. I don't get sent many giants, but I've got 3 from Tony Kingdom, and this would be the less one of the 3 that I like. And he hasn't given names, he's just given colours. So we call this one the orange and yellow mix blend, and that's the best bloom I've had, Dave, so far from it. But it is a short grower, and this is the shortest plant of the 3 with a short footstalk. These might be better. It's on taller plants, and it's just come out. That's weathered now a bit, but so far I'll make that last of the 3. And if you come out, that's it. This is the second best of the 3, and we just call it Sherwood Mauve at the moment, no name. And the star of the 3, and this is a good variety. No name, it didn't have a name, it's got a name now, but it didn't have a name. This was just the orange one, or Sherwood Orange. Now it's become named after his daughter, and it's Sherwood Carol. And there's 3 decent blooms on these. I've only got the 3 plants, but they're nice blooms, aren't they, Dave, for a giant? You know, for a giant man. Not for all-round growers like us, but for someone that grows giants. You imagine that, 1 like that in your AT Barnes or your other classes for giants there. So I think that goes somewhere. The others we shall see with the mauve one, but this is a star of the show. It's going to be called Sherwood Carol, and David Hall may release it. I don't know. He has his own choices. But if it was me, I'd release that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay. Right, we're going on to now. This is not new, but David and I have got just a little bit of it. It's called Barbary Surprise. Philip Watson had a cracking vase of this in his Terry Clark yesterday, which he won, Phil Watson, from up in the northeast. And we're just trying to... the problem's not the blooms. They're wonderful blooms that he had. Plenty of depth, like a refined... Blighton Stella. Keeping it over winter is your problem. It doesn't make much of a tuber, it doesn't make much of a pot tuber, it dies through the winter, so we both got it marked down that we're going to grow it, but it might just be a dream. And it's for down here in the south, I think it's a 6 up. It's not massive, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 on it. But 6 up, you might get it a bit bigger. Yeah. The ones he had yesterday were full size, weren't they? But he lives in the frozen north and we live in the sun-baked south, and it's not fair. Right, this is Kenora Challenger. I've done one of my comparison things here. So that's Challenger, my own stock of Challenger, which come, I think, from Ian Sutherland originally. And it's 4 foot high, good blooms, and that's that. And also from Ian is this Harold C. You could call it poor stock of Challenger because it's very like Challenger, but if you look at the two plants I put in here for comparison, the Challenger are a much stronger growing plant, and these are like the bed you're going to see later. I've got a bed of it, small bed of it, don't know why I'm mad, but they're only 3.5 foot. The blooms aren't as big. Challenger form, you know, you could say it's the same variety with 2 different stocks, but I won't be cruel like that. And it comes from, oh, what's his name, in Australia. I forget his name now. Right, and these are Dianes. Why have I got Winholm Diane down here? Because my man makes all sorts of promises and I believe him. And this is supposed to be the dark yellow sport. Come here, of Winholm Diane, but unfortunately 1, 2, 3, 4 plants. One of them was marked up as Winholm. I'll tell you which one.
This one.
This is the plant of Winholm, our own stock. He's got the same stock as me of Winholm. So that's the Winholm. That's, what did you call it? Dark Diane. Well, his mother didn't tell him because it's the same. In fact, that one's paler, isn't it, than the other? Yeah. And that one's darker, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a lot younger, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is probably a darker.
No, but if you compare it to that, Dave,
yeah,
that's a different colour to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I won't lie. You got one.
Yeah. That's all I'll get from you after the article. And these are both Winholm Diane. And so's the one that the 3 that are not meant to be are the same as that one. So he thinks he's got the dark one.
I had 7 plants out of 52 planted that went
darker.
Yeah.
But it's still a lovely thing, isn't it? Yeah. Whether you call it dark or Winholm, and there's no small deck that will beat that family.
No.
At the moment. Sure, in years to come when I'm long gone there will be, but at the moment that is our yardstick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another plant of Sandia Gold. It won't be here next year. No, it's very nice. Comes from America. Steve Bowley in America raised this one, and I'm disbudding, forgive me. No, they don't do a lot for me, these really. Back to Janice. We short Janice 3 dotted around as I've got plants big enough. A bit of a short grower, but it's consistent, isn't it? It's nice, consistent, small deck. I think that'll catch on if it gets released. This is already on the market. It's called Rossendale Donald, after the late Don Kershaw, and Ian Sutherland has handed it on to David Hall, and it's now on the market. Came on the market this year as a new variety, and a lovely colour. The stock looked a bit wafty earlier, and I picked the cleanest plants out, and it's okay. You wouldn't criticise them, would you?
No.
They're healthy enough. So that's those, and that finishes off the new variety beds, and we're going to have a stroll through the plot now, because every variety pretty much is out, which it doesn't happen other years because we do it a week later. But I'm in full flush. One show to go, Surrey show, so fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to have a wander through the plot now, and I'm going to take you through the varieties I grew. Some I might not grow again. Western and Harry does well. I've grown it well in the past. I think probably Mary Margaret Rowe is a better one if you're going to grow one yellow medium deck. But I just put a row in to see what it would do. It didn't do well really. This has done well, excuse me. It's done very well. Come down, Dave, I'll show you. This is Auntie Babs. I mentioned it last year. That's a decent bloom. And I've shown it a few times, and it's done well. I won the seedling class with it for Tom Cleghorn, and goes right back, doesn't it? It's just matching the colour up. You've got to go for this creamy centre, but it's consistent, and I like it. And I shouldn't go perhaps so much on it. I think I grew it about 8 or 9 up. It's probably a 7 job to get it the power in it. But that one all the way down, it's a row of Western Harrier, a row of Auntie Babs, a full bed of 30 Blighton Stella. It hasn't been as big as I've had it in the past, Blighton Stella, but it's a lovely thing. Raised by Les Stothard, and plenty of depth, isn't it? Round flower, good centre, but I haven't got any much bigger than that. And if we had a miniature ring, which I haven't, there'd be a good ½ inch there, and you like to get them full size, don't you?
Yeah.
And the same applies to the next variety, which is Cyril Watkins Palventum Cristobal. And I haven't had the size in that I've had in other years either. And some of the ones I saw at the National yesterday were like mine, a bit underpowered. But you want it like that or bigger. And there aren't many flowers. I'm hoping I've got some for Sunday, but we'll have to see. And that is Palventum Cristobal from Cyril Watkins down in Cornwall. Blighton Softer Gleams from Les Stothard sort of crept onto the show bench a few years back, and no one grew it, but John Cullen, one of our local lads, he grew it. And I was in a 3 vase class with him at one show. I think it's David's Abercorn first show, and I was leading after 2 vases. Then on the 3rd vase, his vase got about 26 points and beat me by 2 points. So I wasn't pleased about that, but it showed me how judges looked at it. And it is, well, it's easy to match, it's easy to grow, it has a good centre, that hasn't, but it does. And I grow it about 9 up. What do you grow it? 8 up. 8. We both grow it 8 up. But you know, that's a nice one. If it's got a fault, you'd say it's a little bit loose, isn't it? Under there.
Can be.
You like it to be tighter at the back. But I've got some coming, and that's Blighton Softer Gleams. Do you want to go round and do the Judi Hercules, or do it? Miniature cactus, semi-cactus that I grow is Judi Hercules, raised by the late Peter Greenaway. And these small miniature cactus, unless you've grown them, you won't know how easy it is to get them oversized. But that would be about, let's get a ring and show you. Yeah, maybe a minute. But that's what you want really at cutting time. There's about ½ inch between that and the ring. And it's got a nice heavy centre, and that's what I cut. And then it grows out, and within 24 hours you'll get that, which is NAS, where it touches both sides. Then it's a very difficult dahlia to keep within the ring. And the way I do it is I double stop them and let everything come up. I only take the 2 pair down to just strengthen the stem, and then you get a bloom like that. And I've done very, very well with it, growing it this way. It's a bit of a mess when you look at the bed, because I don't pick any off. I just bend them over to hold the size down, because if you start chopping them all off, up goes the size and you don't show it anymore. So to keep them a nice, sensible, small size, I just bend everything over and don't disbud too much. And that's what you want at show time. About 1/4 inch. You know, they look lovely as well. They're refined. And it's the only one of the Judis, and I've grown them all. There's my Robin following me around. And it's the only one that I can keep within the ring. Get out of the way. This is a bed of Hillcrest candy, raised by Les Jackson. And when it's at its best, that is a real nice bloom, that one. The centre's nice, it goes 2/3 back, and I still like it. You find that a good moonlight will normally beat it, that is the problem. And the stock of this is very in and out. Like this plant looks a clean plant. Now you look at this plant, it's not got the same health, colour of foliage, and you need to constantly keep roguing it. But there's a full bed there. I might find 3 or 6 for Surrey on Sunday with a bit of luck. But still a good variety. That was the original, and then we had these sports come along, Val's White Candy and a couple of others, and still my top small deck. And what I didn't do is put a final tie in them. And what's happened is if you don't give them a tie, I should have put the last tie in about, oh, I don't know, about 1.5 foot higher than I have. And what they've done is they've leant over to the light, so you can't really show blooms like that. But the actual flower is a knockout. But the actual stem, they would hammer you. The judges will hammer you for a stem that is as crooked and bent as that, and the same applies there. So I've got to do what I preach, really, and they need a higher, because it's a 5.5 foot variety. So although I've tied it at what, 2 foot, and maybe at 3.5 foot, 3 foot, I needed a higher. You should have a higher one, so the blooms don't hang out to one side. So that is Windholm Dying, full bed of that, about 28 I think it is in that bed. My man, he doesn't grow as many as that, you know, he cuts down on things, and he's just got the 80 plants of Windholm Dying. I mean, you shouldn't go too many. Unintentional.
They're supposed to be dark.
I think you meant it. Right. Probably this is the best of the Goldcrest. Sherwood Goldcrest was raised by June Davis, and then there was Spalts, Oakwood, Lismore, Lemon Crest, what's the other spalt we had? Lismore, probably about it. So they're all Spalts of Sherwood Goldcrest. So Oakwood was the first spalt, and then we've had the other two come afterwards, and it's still a good one. I think good Kiwi Gloria in that section. Kiwi Gloria is a small cactus, and this is a small semi-cactus. But for us who live down south, who can't grow good Kiwi Gloria, we have to make do with this. But if you can get Kiwi Gloria at its best, it will beat this. And this is Sherwood Goldcrest. I grow 7 blooms on the plant to get it up to size. I grow the Suffolk Gleams at 8, and I grow the Judi Hercules, everything up on a double stop, and like this bud. I go on to the White Vales Candy, being very shallow.
It's Challenger.
Is it Challenger? Yeah, Challenger. They're so small for Challenger. No, this is Kenora Challenger, and it's still the best, I think, if you can get it right. That's a nice bloom. Just about hold it. If the judge walked in now, you get away with that. With a smaller centre, can you get it? Yeah. So I might have 3 of that. I'll grow that 4 up. That was raised by LaRue, Gordon LaRue. I've been to his plot in America. And he's also a mineralogist. What's that you say? Minerals.
Mineralogist.
We don't know. We know. I'm educated.
We're Essex boys.
But we were going on a trip there, and I knew about this collection, and I said, "You're going to take me down to see your minerals?" And he did. And it was Derek Hewlett and Dave Reed waiting at the bus, and I told them where I'd been, and they both told me off for not telling them where I was going, you know, because they wanted to see the collection as well. But there are some nice blooms coming. I'm quite pleased with them. The stock is better than it's been for years. You were talking about stocks of Challenger. And the stock of this is good. I've changed it a few times over the years, but I'm pleased with it. Yeah, I'm pleased with it. You get it a bit bigger than this, probably, of all the dinners you give them. Ruskin Diane was raised by Stan Pennington many years ago. He was the raiser of Ruskin Diane. And then we've had Spalts. Windholm was the next one. Since then there's been Cream, there's been Tracy,
Primrose,
and Primrose, but they're all good. You know, they're all good. It's what you like to grow. A lot of people grow Tracy, some grow Primrose. Not so much Primrose anymore, but it's the same hanging problem where I haven't tied them enough. But that is Cream Diane. You normally grow those about 7 up. Do you grow them 7 up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both grow it 7 up. And it's a really good variety. All the Dianes, if you can grow them, all the Dianes, same as all the Kiwis and their Spalts. You've got Kiwi Gloria,
Deborah's and Treeling.
And they're all good if you can get them right. I just stick, we've tried, both of us have got some Kiwi, which you'll see. I won't show it to Frankie Fraser because he'll start laughing. But we've tried. We're going on to Skelmersdale Jane, and it's done well this year for me. David's had them a bit smaller, I've had them a bigger. We've both grown it 9 up. You grew it 9 up, didn't you? But he's had his a bit small, and a few of them have gone without the white centre. But all of mine have got this nice purple centre. It's raised by Steve Burns up in the north, and I like it. It's probably one of the most reliable. It's only miniature deck you grew, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really reliable. But I have had some whopping great blooms of it. Look like they might be coming down. Whether I can find a few for Sunday, we'll have to see. Somewhere over the rainbow for nothing, because it's my own sport of pink Mayor's Ronda, and it is pink, but it comes in so much of a variation, and the colours change from week by week. Last Sunday we were showing at Kent. I had a lovely vase of it, best vase in show, with pink and a purple dot in the middle, and it just sold it. And I couldn't find it for the national. It changed again, and those turned to that sort of thing. So yes, it's a great variety. All the sports of Ronda are great varieties. It's just so many shades. There must be 300-400 blooms out here. And Carmen and I went round for the first show we did, which was Essex, and we couldn't find 3 to get alike. But by Kent, I managed 3 nice vases, and now I think we're going to have a trouble, even finding 6 to go together for a championship at Surrey on Sunday. So there's a good side, there's a bad side. Whether I can rogue it out by taking cuttings of one that is a solid one colour plant, but I can't find any. They're all, you know, you look at them like, say, paler bloom like that. Well, it's on the same plant with these.
Yeah.
So you can't say, I'll have that tuber and I'll have that tuber, because they're all so, maybe this one is, it might be, you know, even then it's got a purple in it.
And it's got a white one.
Yeah, they've got a white spot. Yeah, white spot. One of them runt sports that
Yeah.
nothing, I wouldn't even bother. But if you ever want to take a sport, and you've got a nice one, and it's only one stem, or in this case 2 stems, of a sport, and you really like it, like I did with Dave's Kiss a few years ago, off Aurora's Kiss, is take the cuttings off of the stem low down, making sure it's the right stem, overwinter them through the winter, and then take cuttings off those plants in the spring, and you'll secure the sport. I'm trying to get a new classification at the National for 3 blooms of an open-centred medium semi-cactus. I'm joking, of course, because this is Eastwood Moonlight. Trouble with me is I've got so many varieties that I keep all pot tubers. Pan over to them pot tubers, Dave, for a minute. I've got over 100 varieties of pot tubers, and I keep them, and they don't go in the ground. I just keep the pot tuber, take cuttings off the pot tuber, and then keep them as mortar pot tubers, and they don't go in the ground. And this hasn't been in the ground for 6 years. So I suddenly had the brainwave that I would grow Eastwood Moonlight again. But in the meantime, it's gone like that. So the whole bed wasted, 28 plants. Of course, you're never going to show them like that. Not only that, you get that with them. You get this wafty stem with them as well. So I've wasted 2 or 3 varieties that didn't come up to what I wanted. And if you can get a good Moonlight, it's still the one. It's still the best variety. And if you've never done any disbudding before, you can come around here and do a bit, because this is what we do to get a bigger bloom. For anyone that grows dahlias or is starting to grow dahlias, you normally disbud a stem like that to leave the 1 centre blood to get the bigger bloom. And that is Eastwood Moonlight, open-centred Eastwood Moonlight. There you go. Where's my robin? I've got a robin round here. He's my friend. He's abandoned me now. He thinks I'm going to hit him on the head. That'd be enough for you. Go on, at it. it up. Oh, one more. This is a full bed of 35 Jander, raised by Geerling in Holland many years ago, and then we had Mary's Jander, which was a sport sometime later. You have to grow a lot of blooms on this. It's a miniature ball, and to keep it within the miniature ball ring, you need about, I don't know, 18 to 16 we grow it, didn't we? The Jamanders. Dave grows the Marys, and I tried the Jamander this year, the original. They're okay. I haven't shown it much. I took a bucket. I didn't have a bucket to take to the national. I left it behind. But it's a good, reliable variety. So that's the parent, a Mary's Jamander, which was raised in the north. Well, Les Jackson had the sport, and another bloke was sent it, but that's another story. And we're going on now to White Vales candy. And I don't think this will make its mind up, will it?
Bit of each.
Did you film that here? So the problem most of us have had this year with White Vales candy is lack of depth. A show bloom should be 2/3 the depth of the breadth, and that one probably is. I don't know what it's like at the front. The problem being is when you leave these varieties like the semi-cactus to develop fully, then you look at the face of that bloom and everything is meant to radiate from the centre with no gaps. Well, as it gets old, a judge will criticise it not holding its form. But if he had a young bloom to look at like that, he'd fall in love with it. You know, I can't turn it for you. Screw its head off and I might need it Sunday. We'll find a young bloom if we can.
That's one there.
Not that young, is it?
No, it's got...
Yeah, that's really young. But it gives you the idea that that's how the form should be, everything radiating, but it obviously wants to be 2/3 depth, and that's our problem. We can't show it like that, it'll get hammered because it's so thin, and then it gets like that, where it's got all that weight, and then you get this swirl of form. So you've got to pick it at the right time when the form is, when the depth is just at 2/3, and it isn't too swirly. And then you can always pick the odd petal out, of course, if it is swirling or if it is damaged at the back, to make it look like everything is radiated. But that has got good depth. Yeah. But the form is just starting to go away a little bit. Many years ago, my friend Tom Bebbington, the late Tom Bebbington, was releasing a variety for Eddie Durant called Kiwi Gloria. And each year he used to give me star variety, which is going to knock the world on fire. And I had about 6 years of this, and they'd knocked no one on fire. And then he said, I've got this new one. He said, it's going to knock those socks off everyone. I said, yeah, what called it? He said, Kiwi Gloria it's called. I said, all right, give me a few then. So I had about a dozen or so, and I took a vase to the National, and I won the best vase of cactus in show the first year before it came on release. And that's the last time I grew it any good. Because as the seasons have warmed up, this is my theory, what we get is something a bit chunkier. I mean, that's nearly a perfect bloom. The pinhole's just about to close, and it's got the form, hasn't it? Wonderful form, that. And then you hang on a day or two, or a few days, and it swirls. The whole flower swirls round. The judges will hate that, and they'll love that. And it's just a miss for southern growers. Darren Everest grows a few, and he grows it fairly well. But when you compare it, and David grew it well this year, for a southern grower, but we're not showing against southern growers, we're showing against Phil Watson, we're showing against Franklin Fraser, we're showing against Ian Sutherland, and ours are a mile and a half behind, and we're never going to catch it back. I think in years to come, when I'm long gone and the season's hot up all over the country, they will have the same problem as us. Blighton Red Ace, it was raised on Les Stothard, and if you can catch it just right, like that bloom is just right, it's a lovely globular, what a miniature ball should be, a globe, not a flat plane, just a variety that goes right back on the stem, small petals, and that is an excellent variety. Stock is up and down, you've got the shorter ones, longer ones, it blows its centre fairly quickly. It's quite small, you need to grow it 6 up, I would say, some might go 7, but the centre, one day it's there, like that, and the next day it's like it's blown there and it's still good there, but it's a matter of 1 or 2 days where it changes. But you've got to grow it well. It doesn't fade in its favour. Hard to get to size, but at its best I would say it's got the best formation. We're all ravers about the Janders, but they're not a true ball form. They're a bit big petaled. This is a true ball form to me, miniature ball form. Will I grow it again? I don't know really. I just got to find something different. But 6 up, and it's okay, it's good. With new varieties, where I get sent them every year, some stand out as a new variety. You fall in love with them and you think, yeah, I'm going to grow a bed of that next year and knock their socks off. And this was one of them. It's called Ginger. It's raised by Tom McClellan up in Scotland, and it was gorgeous. I showed a bloom at the Essex show and my man judged it, and he picked it out from it. He said, oh, that's nice, isn't it? He said, you haven't shown that before. I said, I only had 2 plants. And now I've got plenty of plants, but it's not the same dahlia. They change so quickly as new varieties, not the established ones like Willow and things like Moonlight, that they are what they are. But these new ones, they do seem to alter. This one's got a weakish stem, smaller, much smaller than I had last year, and I got 28 plants of it and never showed it. And it's not the dahlia that I remember. And it's a bit shaggy in its form. If you look at that, Dave, can you see it? Yeah. A bit shaggy in its form. It's not round. There's a shoot like this. You have to excuse me. No, at the moment it's a miss. Maybe fresh stock will turn up, and who knows? But no, it's another wasted bed. That's the problem. You've got these wasted beds, and I've got 100 plants or more out of 500, say, for show. And they've never been on the bench. They're not good enough. This one is called Decora Superb. I've never grown it in the ground. I've had stock many years, and it's got a few faults. It has a pinhole centre, green. That means a green centre like that, a big one when it's young, a smaller one like that when it gets a bit older. But that, in every other respect, wants to be on the bench today, doesn't it? But you've still got this green middle, so. And it's heavy formed for a miniature compared to Pole Venton and Stella and Blighton, Barbary Surprise and things like that, and Skelmersdale Jane. And what you get with it as well, when it reaches maturity, the shelf life is very short, because you've got these backs dropping out. I mean, that's almost a perfect bloom on the face, isn't it? Yeah. You know, the green centre's still there, and look at the back. So for me, it's the first time I've grown it. I think there are better miniature decks than that about, because it is too heavy for me. And but lovely stem in its favour. And if you was growing it like Carmen does for a cut flowers, you'd have to cut it like that. I mean, that is the perfect bloom, isn't it? Nice small centre, no back dropping out, and it's not so big bloom and not so big petals. I mean, I'd show that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Footstalk's quite short though, isn't it? Sorry? Quite a short footstalk.
Yes.
Generally.
Yeah. Not bad though, I'd accept that. That one maybe so. Yeah. This is Nadia Ruth from America. It's a medium-sized fimbriated dahlia. I mean, it's got these fishtail petals on it. A wee bit small for the section. The section is around the 8-inch marks. This will be 7.5. But that's how it wants to be. And I fell in love with it, as I usually do. But I've never shown it, and I probably won't grow it again. You want a big powerful fim really, like Habit Champagne or Normandy Frills, Normandy Delight. But I grew this as a new variety and liked it. Unusual colouring, lovely fine petaling, isn't it? It's lovely. But I don't know if I'd grow it again. I grew it for the Ted Collins Trophy, which calls for 2 vases of dahlias plus a vase of fims. Because he was a fim grower and they named it after him. No, if I grow for it, I'll have to grow something else. This is Harold C. He meant to be a bed of Harold C. Ian Sutherland was good enough to give me a couple of tubers, and I propagated them. But the stock, which he got from Australia, he got the stock, and they're very low growing. I like my own Challenger, and it's identical to Challenger. You can't tell them apart. where these came from, I don't know. It could be Winkley Impersonator, or it could be Amaria Cord, but they've got in here somehow 1, 2, 3 plants. But we were saying, really, if it is a cord or whatever it is, it's a lovely medium bloom, isn't it? You know, can you take it from the front? Yeah, it's a lovely medium bloom, but unclassified if it is Impersonator. But no, I won't grow Harold C again. If I'm growing a Challenger, which I will, I'd grow my own stock, which is up here somewhere. This is 3 rows, a bed of Gertler Twilight. It's not the best Gertler Twilight I've ever grown. The plants are much lower for some reason, and the blooms are much smaller. Normally you'd expect to have Gertler Twilight right up to size. But it's a full bed. I keep them disbudded. You have to disbud them a bit like that, take the wing buds off to get the size that is required, which is just under the 55mm. 55mm is the disqualification size, so we're looking to have something over 50 metres but under 55 metres. Over the limit of any section, your exhibit is disqualified. So that's why you're so on the ball with size. And also what we do with varieties like this, which have got the calyx is the green bit at the back, which many of you would know. But to try and make sure that the back of the calyx is not hanging down below the level of the bloom, you pick off all these calyx petals like that, and when that bloom comes out, you cannot see any of the calyx at the back, and the judge holds them up to see if they go back to the stem. And if you do one like that, it's covered its calyx, but quite often Gertler Twilight doesn't, and that's why we do it. Only on poms like that. But if you grow the Ronda, like Pink Mayor's Ronda, it's a shorter calyx and it doesn't show below the level of the bloom, so you don't bother to do it. You don't want to make yourself work, but you work on every bud. A lot of work goes into these poms. I've almost packed up, disbudded them now, but you can imagine all these older blooms like that have all been disbudded down 2 pair to try and get the size up to what is recommended, 50mm. But disappointed a bit in them, undersize and also very low. Same stock as usual, but you can get a good picture of the plot now. You can see all the varieties, tall grower, short varieties, and more pot tubers over there on the left, Dave. And that's how I keep the varieties going. There's probably about, I don't know, 18 varieties through the main plot, and over in them pot tubers is over 100. So it's a way I can keep them going. The problem is, if you haven't seen in them ground for a few years, you'll get what I had with the Eastwood Moonlight. Daisy-eyed beyond belief. And not massive, it's a miniature deck and lovely colour. Some people love it, some people hate it. But I love it, and I think it's going to be released by Halls of Heaven, and this is the rest of her little patch. And this is the one she's grown for. You want to steal them, Dave? Yeah. Yep. No, it's all. This is Formby Art from Australia. I've had it for years. It's a bicolour, and you know what a bicolour is, a base and then a tipping on each petal. And this one is white with purple, pink tipping, and good stems, plenty of blooms, and she's grown it from the start. Since she started selling, this is the only one of those 4 that has maintained its position. She's never changed it. Sorry about this, buddy. We've got itchy fingers, me and him. So that is really all I've got to show you. But that's how it is. With gams bigger than that, obviously. It's a small deck, and it's called Formby Art, and it's the most popular of the ones she has in bunches. So we've had a good natter between ourselves. I hope you've enjoyed it. We haven't bored you to tears. But as Ian Sutherland would say, keep growing and strong stems.